Hi guys, and welcome to another Fool of the Week. This week's Fool is Minister for Common Sense, Esther McVey. But unfortunately the Tory was not making use of her brief as she tried to convince an Any Questions audience that Rishi Sunak has turned a corner, that the economy is growing and he has succeeded in bringing down inflation. Now none of these things are actually true, but perhaps truth is relative. It certainly seems to be the case with Esther McVey. Have a listen to this.
Well, reform isn't sort of doing well because, I should say, the Conservatives are doing badly that has allowed reform a way in, and I guess that's true. We look at those by-elections and let's be honest, it was a poor result and it was a disappointing result. And what Conservatives got to do, because they have the future in their hands, they've got to say, well, how are we going to connect back with the public? How do we get that trust back with the public? How do we deal with immigration, legal and illegal, and how are we going to get the accounts back on track? So I would say, look, it was only a couple of years ago in 2019 that we had an 80-seat majority. So actually things were going well. But the things that have gone wrong is, and the world stopped with COVID and lockdown, and it's fundamentally turned everything round. £400 billion was spent on supporting the country. And when you spend £400 billion and you lock the world down, it's no surprise now we're in a very bad way. So we've got to come out of it. And that is what we are doing. Now, it's going to be a hard slap back, but we are doing it already.
I mean, these by-elections, one of them, the Conservatives suffered their biggest drop in vote share in any by-election since the Second World War.
Yeah, and I've just said they were a poor set of results, and I'm not going to shy away from that. But what we need is unity of our MPs in the House. You talk about the different factions there. You're quite right. We've always been a broad church, and I'm proud of the fact that we've been a broad church, and we also believe in free speech in our party. But people have got to now get behind Rishi Sunak, who actually inherited a difficult set of circumstances, and say, yes, he has turn the economy round. That is turning round now. When you talk about inflation...
Just gone into recession?
No.
The UK's just gone into a recession.
Yeah, OK. Those figures were from the end of last year. And you're right, it was a technical recession, and it's a shallow recession. But what he's done, and he said, I will get inflation down because that is the most important thing, which he has done.
He hasn't got inflation down. Inflation has dropped because of a recession. Now, just because you call it a technical recession, that doesn't mean it's not a recession. She doesn't understand what technical recession is. What she's trying to do is, once again, spin this idea that it's nothing to do with the Tories. It's not their fault that they lost these by-elections. It's the current situation. People are not doing very well at the moment. They're not happy with the situation. But it's nothing to do with Rishi Sunak. It's nothing to do with the Conservative Party. It's external factors. So the reason that the Tories lost these two by-elections is because of, well, the war in Ukraine and the pandemic. The country hasn't been able to rebuild since those things, and it's nothing to do with the Conservative Party. So, but this doesn't square with reality, unfortunately. The public are upset for a number of reasons, but their primary concern, of course, is the cost of living crisis. What have the Tories done to alleviate that? They've done sweet FA. Like, they will say that they have done things. They will say that they have a plan. But people want to see results now. They want to see something tangible that has been presented to them that can help them through this cost of living crisis. Now, Rishi Sunak will talk about the energy price cap and stuff like that. But this is not actually helping people. You need to present something. And what can they present? Nothing. Because they have nothing. Because they have done nothing. They have, when she talked about the £400 billion, where did that money go? It seems to have gone into the pockets of the richest people in society. Ordinary people didn't benefit. Yes, there was the furlough scheme. That was temporary. It alleviated some poverty for a moment, but then it was taken away and people went back to a difficult situation. Where is the support for people? And stop talking about numbers. Stop talking about growing the economy. growing the economy is pointless if people are still struggling. You have to do something that will help them. And Esther McVey is living on another planet. She thinks the economy is growing. She's told, no, there's actually a recession. She tries to spin it, well, it's a technical recession, and it was last year. Last year, we're talking about 2 months ago. We don't have the figures yet for the first quarter, because the first quarter hasn't finished yet. When the first quarter comes in, then we'll know whether the recession will continue or not. Now, it's important to remember that when there is a recession, it means that growth has not taken place. There will be growth again, but it will be stagnation. You'll see a dip in GDP, a dip in growth, a recession, then you'll see a small rise and then a small dip again and a small rise. And when there is a rise, Rishi Sunak and the Tories will declare it a victory. But the economy is flatlining. There is no real growth at the moment. And it's difficult to grow the economy if you're not investing in public services. The Tories are not investing they haven't done it over the last 14 years. So if you don't invest in public services, you're not going to grow the economy. You're not going to grow the economy if you can't attract investment. How do you attract investment if you have put up barriers to trade? Brexit. How are you going to attract investment if businesses can't access the workers they need? Once again, Brexit, the ending of freedom of movement. So Rishi Sunak and his party are talking about growing the economy, but there's nothing there to grow with. They're talking about bringing down inflation, but inflation is coming down because of a recession, because the economy is contracting, not because they are doing something marvelous. And you can see it because they're not actually coming up with examples of policies that they're implementing that are bringing down inflation. Nothing. Rishi Sunak has come up with nothing. Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, has presented nothing. And unfortunately, journalists don't ask for examples. They just go with, well, I'm bringing down inflation. Our party is bringing down inflation. Our government is bringing down inflation. It's not working. The economy is contracting. That's why inflation is coming down. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. And I'll see you next time for our next Fool of the Week.